Welcome to the interview room. Muzzy checking in, the time's here. How you all doing? Alright, let's begin. Let's have a chat about the fact that I wanna interview the best fighters in the world, and that's that. Had a lot of guests from everywhere, all across the globe. Fighters tell me about the journeys, training, fighting on the road. It's Muay Thai, get it straight. Here to show respect to great fighters around the world. Ask questions and investigate the lives of great warriors, revered and notorious. Infamous.
Hey guys, it's Mudzy here from Muay Thai Interviews again. I hope you've all been keeping well and somewhat active over these last few months. With most gyms getting back open and pretty much back into it, I hope you're all back in the gym, smashing it out and chasing those goals. With that being said, my next two guests are Kieran Walsh and Josh Tonna. Kieran is the head trainer and owner of the Muay U gym down in Canberra, and Josh is also one of his fighters and also a trainer at the gym. So without further ado, here's our chat. Gentlemen, Time Bomb and Mr. Walsh, how are we, boys?
Good, man, good.
Thanks for having us.
How is that freezing cold down in Canberra?
We're part of it, man. We're used to it. This is like...
Oh, man, you don't get used to it, hey?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you get used to it.
I'm like, I can't wait for summer, and then like, I can't wait for winter. As soon as that rolls, it's bloody hot.
We get both extremes in Canberra, man. Like in winter... I had a memory pop up the other day and I was commenting about like, making fighters run before sparring or something like that. It was like 8 a.m. and it was -7. Like that was like an extra, like it would not get like that normally. But then in summer here, it can go like 39, 40. Like it goes both ways. It's crazy. Yeah.
Have you got like good heating in your gym? How does it go kicking pads in that freezing cold?
I don't turn it on. Fuck, Right, what am I going to turn the heating on for? You exercise and you get warm. Why would I turn the heating on, bro? That's a waste. That's a waste of money. That's just...
You drive a hard bargain, Kieran. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, I got to pay him a full-time wage, man. I'll just redirect it to there.
Oh, so you've just fairly recently, I guess we could say, you've opened up your own gym, Muay U. What made you decide to go out on your own?
Yeah, man. We're almost at 2 years now. So September marks 2 years.
Yep.
Man, I think if you get the opportunity to do what you love for a living, then do it. Hey, like I was pretty fortunate enough. I had a previous relationship that ended, and I had an apartment with my partner at the time, and we separated. And so I got I went out of the apartment, so I got a big chunk of cash from that, and I always wanted to open a gym. So I just thought, man, fuck it, I'll take the money and open a gym, man. I had a particular sort of approach that I wanted to try out and like a particular, my own style of Thai boxing for it compared to otherwise. And then, man, just bit the bullet and went for it.
Yeah. And Time Bomb, last time we spoke, I think it was just after your first fight on one with Petchdam, I think a week or two after that. And back then you were at Stockade. So how did you and Kieran both link up together?
Well, before the Morimoto fight, I hadn't heard about it yet, but just a little bit after it come up, my trainer at the time, Gary, had gone away on holiday, and I think I'd been speaking to Kieran a little bit before that and doing a bit of training here. And I just asked him if he would help me prepare for it. We had 4 weeks or 4.5 weeks or so. It's actually, has it come yet? It's like the anniversary.
We're almost on a year now. Yeah. It's almost on a year.
Yeah.
So
it was like 4 weeks of training, and we went over, and like since then I've sort of tried to make my way to the gym. I thought I could get a bit better training here. That's sort of why I wanted to come over.
So why do you think you two gel so well together? Because I've seen the videos and you've obviously got really good camaraderie between each other, and you obviously feed off each other, and you look like you're having a good time while you're doing it, even though Kieran's trying to like bust your ass.
Yeah.
Man, we just get a lot. Man, we've got a lot of similar interests, and it works. It's pretty good that way. And we're both a similar age too. So there's like so much that we have in common, and we talk like we discuss the most obscure shit you're like.
So we've been friends on Facebook for ages. We actually, I don't remember the date, 2010 or 9 or something. We both fought on a show together in Wagga.
2008, I think.
2008.
Man.
Yeah.
Down in Wagga.
Or 2007 even. Yeah, it was,
Yeah. And I hadn't really had too much to do with him in that time up until like we sort of recently started hanging out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it happened, but there was a rebellion fight and I really wanted to go, and Kieran was going, so he said, why don't you just come with me? And I said, all right, why not? Do a road trip together. And we were listening to weird stuff like top 10
dark web secrets.
Yeah. We just
Man, I picked him up from his home in Queanbeyan at 3 a.m. and he goes, oh, I haven't slept. And I was like, yeah, cool. What? Like, yeah. And he goes, I ran to Parliament House and back. To put it in, bro, from his house to Parliament House and back is not short of a marathon. Like, it was like, I'd picked him up at 3 a.m. and he'd just run like 30-something kilometers because he couldn't sleep. And I'm like,
I didn't want to like sleep through getting picked up, so I thought I'd just stay awake the whole time.
And I was like, fuck, this is like, you're a weird dude, man. We'll be good friends.
I don't know, it was just listening to David Goggins stuff and Joe Rogan, and
yeah,
it was good, man.
Goggins is good. Goggins good. I saw did he give you a kudos a while back?
Yeah, their anniversary was like only a few days ago. It was going into the Morimoto fight, and the
anniversary of when Goggins gave you a shout out.
Man, I'm gonna share that every year. He put up a video and I commented on it, and he said something back, so I couldn't lose from then. I had to like win for him.
How with that comment, how much did that give you a mental rev up for your fight?
Oh man, I loved Gogsy. I loved listening to him, and I think a lot of people training could maybe relate to him because the whole fight game is very mental, and that's like his whole thing is pushing past your limits and all that. So yeah, to get a comment from him was pretty good. My strength coach is a big fan of him as well. He was pretty jealous.
So like, I know you touched on it, but what do you get from Kieran that you weren't necessarily getting from your other gym?
Oh, definitely the main thing is like pure Muay Thai. Before I trained at Stockade, I was training with a guy called Jamie, and he showed me a lot of like fundamental things. And then next was a guy called Israel. He was working at the AIS. He was doing a PhD, and we got connected somehow. And he showed me some cool things as well. Some things with strength and conditioning. He told me I thought that was very valuable. He said, I can't teach you much with like Muay Thai. I think you'd be better off doing kickboxing. So we sort of started developing a bit more kickboxing style. And then Gaz is a boxing coach. So learned boxing a bit more. He was a kickboxer as well. So I had never really had really, really, really strong Muay Thai skills, and having fight with Pet Dam and then working in one, it's all Muay Thai there, especially now the division I'm in is like being number 1 ranked. It's like all Muay Thai, so that's why I thought it's a good idea to go with Kieran.
And while you brought up the topic of one, let's get on that. I know you've got your eyes on the prize. Have you heard anything back as to possibly when or who or where you might be fighting next?
There's no information, man. I'm just glad that like they've got a fight happening, like the three big fights. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
That's right, end of July.
Yeah, but I don't know. They said maybe like they're gonna crank them out after that. Like they're gonna get quite a lot of shows happening. Sort of like what UFC is doing. They have one sort of every weekend, or like at least like 3 a month or something. So hopefully they do that with one, but I'm not sure with like travel restrictions and getting out of the country, etc.
But the goal, Same, like really to have he's the champion. Josh is the number one ranked. If you give him anyone else, it's a bit like,
Picking and choosing. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like I think it's it's Josh's opportunity for it.
I guess they could do it, but who's second? Like, who's second in the rankings? Like, that Chinese guy? Is it
Wayne or Darren Rowland or something like that.
He's beat Darren. He's beat Rocky.
He's beat all those other guys. He's beat all those other guys, and it's like,
I guess the only way like it won't be me first is if he has like a kickboxing fight first.
Yeah.
He's had a Muay Thai on. Maybe he wants to do the kickboxing. I'm not sure. And then it'd be the only reason I feel that I wouldn't get the first opportunity.
I know. Obviously, you want that belt, but I mean, you'd be fine with kickboxing because that was your bread and butter at the start, wasn't it? Before you moved to Muay Thai.
Yeah. I think I can go between either. I think the style here, you can easily adapt. Like, strong Muay Thai guys can transition to kickboxing, no problem. And like with some hands I've worked before, it's okay. Yeah.
And you can do both. You've fought both and you can do both. But I think a lot of people, like, we've worked pretty hard over the past year on things like Josh's clinching and the like. And I think he would maybe surprise a few people or have some skills that maybe would not expect it of him because he's been working really hard on that. So,
and another thing I've really noticed, I think it was your second fight in one, possibly. I think it was against the Japanese fella. You were really working out of southpaw stance, and that paid off. You just kept smashing him with that left body kick, and you just beat him, kept landing that all day. Tell us about that. Was that something? Why did you, in particular, focus on that? Was that a weakness you saw in your opponent's game? Was that something you wanted to up in your own game?
Well, I done it with Lasiri as well, Joe Lasiri. The first round we had, like, he had this crazy pressure, and I couldn't sort of match it with him. So at the end of that, back up a little bit. Lasiri here had fought Same. I think he fought another Thai before, and he just got smashed with the left kick. So training for him, I had in my mind that like the left kick would beat him. And then going in the first round, I got beaten. So I thought I had to change it up a little bit, kick a little bit more, and it worked with him. So I sort of developed from there. Like, I thought it was a strong tool I could use for other fights, and Morimoto was a good puncher, very strong with the right hand. So I think I started orthodox, wasn't doing as well as I could. Kieran told me like the last 30 seconds is like circle to your right, away from the right, and just kick a little bit more. And I think it just happened naturally. Yeah, I can do it easy, no problem.
First time I ever held pads for Josh, it was like his left kick and his left knee. I was thinking, fuck, man, these are good weapons. Like, they're by far, especially his left knee, man, like it would just absolutely bury in. And I was thinking, man, these are good weapons to kind of have there as your main thing. But he could swap really well between the two. And one thing that we had that I worked on him with is like that sort of that transition between kickboxing and Muay Thai was to not, like, everyone knows Josh as someone with massive heart and will just keep walking forward. But I wanted him to take that more Thai boxing approach of kick and take less damage and be a bit smarter about it and just outscore, big damage. And like evident in that he's like, especially for that fight, if he would have stood and traded with that Japanese boy, it would have just probably got into a bit of an uglier slugfest. Mm-hmm. But getting him to think about just like that left kick, left knee, left kick, man, it's.
Yeah, like, and I watched a lot of Petrosian and like Sidichai, they would mix it up really well, like to the body, to the inside leg, like to the knee, and like a cross and a hook, like how they can flow with all those techniques together. I like that as well. After the fight with Morimoto, his coach said like we didn't know what to do. We had no answer. So
that could be, one of the biggest compliments you can get from the other corner, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and I've noticed, like, don't get me wrong, crowds love it when you sit there and you brawl and you smash on, but you're starting to be a lot smarter. Like, we know you can throw, we know you can trade, but you're getting that using your body kick, using your knees, and using your range a lot better rather than getting involved in that brawling style.
Yeah.
And that left knee, like if you're listening to this, go back and watch the Andy Howson fight and watch when Josh knees Andy to the body and he slips and he drops down. But Andy told us afterwards, he was like, that knee destroyed him. He said it completely took it out of him. And he sort of like rubbed his feet and shook it off and made it look like it was a slip. He did slip as well.
Yeah.
But he said it was just absolute, didn't he? He told us later that day, he's like, man, it was an absolute killer of a knee.
I got quite a few like good compliments and feedback. Like Jordan Coe said it as well after the fight. He's like, I was going into some other fight and he just said, man, make sure you use that left knee. It's like, it was really good. Other guys I trained with, they said, yeah.
And while we're still on the topic of one, with your fight leading up to some of your fights, you guys have created your 2 guys 1 championship little Facebook and Instagram. So tell us a little bit about that. I know it's a bit of fun, bit of joking around, but being serious and training at the same time.
Yeah. We just want to create some good content. I've always wanted to. It's a bit lame. I want to be like famous on YouTube. I always wanted to be able to do it, but I could never do it by myself. So I told him we should do something like a podcast or a show, and he said, "Yeah, it's a good idea." So, and I think he always wanted to do it as well, but it's
a bit hard. It's a bit hard by yourself. Like it's, I mean, you can do it, but it's a bit weird. And like the 2 of us, man, we thought the idea was like people don't get to see what it's like. For one, like they don't get like behind the scenes and seeing from an athlete. Muay Thai is one of those sports where it's like still evolving. You know, there's not this. It's still in its infancy when it comes to things like that. And that was like, man, we're like, fuck. You watch things like the old HBO boxing, like It's Showtime stuff they used to do, and we were like, man, we'll just make our own little version.
Be embedded.
Like UFC embedded. Let's just make our own version so people can have a look at what it's like. Sort of behind the scenes and yeah, man. And that like, fuck, we just set up a camera and just started like that was you know, we didn't really put too much thought into it. We were like, man, this will be interesting. We're both big Gary V fans, both big Gary Vaynerchuk fans. And he's got that whole idea of just film, you know, like just produce. And that was our approach.
We have a cameraman as well who's like real big into filmmaking, and he loves Muay Thai as well. So he's like, I'm coming on the journey as well. So
I like it how you just, I mean, obviously you're training in that, and it is serious at points, but you guys don't take yourselves too seriously.
Nah. Like, what's the point, eh? Yeah. Why? Fuck. It's like, man, this is what we sort of, you got to be true versions of yourself, right? And that's what we're like all day. We don't want to make that any different. Like, we want people to see that. Otherwise, you can sort of see through it. Like, we joke around and fuck around all day. That's just us.
If I tried to be like a Conor McGregor trash talking, it would be so awkward and embarrassing. I'm awkward and embarrassing enough, but if I tried to like be serious.
And I think like when people do have a fake persona, you can just see straight through it straight away.
100%, man. Like, you don't have to. People think they've got to be something that they're not, and they've got to fill these shoes of like, I've got to be this motivational person. I've got to do this, and I've got to. Fuck.
But you just do it with the actions, like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just be who you are, and don't try to be someone else or who people think you should be. Right? Like, yeah.
I think from my perspective, I think like the way that you two feed off each other's, because Kieran, you're like not afraid to tell it how it is, and you know, you're very opinionated, and then Joshy, you're a little bit more quieter and reserved, but it gels so well together.
Yeah, bloody hell. For sure.
And then do you ever swap roles sometimes? Do you ever like sit there and tell Kieran off?
I couldn't.
No way, bro. No way, man. He's too, man. I could do anything. He would never. He would just be like, yeah, okay. But there's no, we play good cop, bad cop in here, man. There's no.
We know who wears the pants in this relationship then.
I make him wear a nice little skirt every morning.
And another thing that I really enjoyed is you've actually, Joshy, you've been setting yourself some new challenges when that COVID and stuff happened, and even way before then. You're looking to run a marathon or half marathons. I know you done one a few months ago where you ran 4 kilometers every 4 hours for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it started with David Goggins. I got his book. It was like, I think like Christmas Day, but like on Boxing Day, I was so pumped from it, just listening to it, that I ran a marathon. I ran 20 Ks. That was the longest I'd ever done. I did this 20K run, and there's like old people, old ladies running past me. I'd never like done anything that hard other than fighting.
Yeah.
And to go run that 42 Ks, I thought it was pretty cool, just with my mind kind of thing, like, and just sort of started from there. My strength coach is a real big fan of it. He's in the military, so they do that kind of stuff anyway, that kind of hard training. Another guy, Jocko Willink, like an ex-Navy SEAL.
Yep.
They're all Navy SEALs, I like their kind of training, and I just listened to them and want to try and improve my mind and stuff. So we did the 50K with Steve's run. Did the 4:48 David Goggins running challenge.
Did Kieran do that with you as well?
No, bro. No.
He joined
I
me
did
on
two.
one.
I did like 2 of them, man.
Yeah.
I did 2 of them, and then I just we had a bunch of the boys from the gym do it with him.
Yeah.
Because it was COVID, and so like no one was training, and we got we're lucky that we got a bunch of the boys who just like hard work,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were like, fuck it, we'll just join along, and we made a little Facebook group, and I made them all. I told them they had to post like they all posted their Stravas in it afterwards and stuff like that, man. It was cool.
Yeah. And then there was we did like a push-up challenge. We were gonna run the Centennial Trail during COVID.
For those that don't know, what's a Centennial Trail? How long is that?
It's 130 kilometers.
Fuck that.
But a bit soft. We ran out of time. Like I got busy doing some of the online classes and trying to do some work with Kieran, and got away from me. But we'll try that one.
And one of the night, I felt like I went to run with him on, I think it was like the second one, and then I finished. And I actually, man, just before they did it, I almost convinced myself to do it. But I really enjoy weightlifting and powerlifting and stuff. That's been my new sort of hobby.
Yeah.
And I sort of really badly tweaked one of my hips like a week before they started it. But then it was like the day before, I'm thinking, oh fuck, like I was getting a bit jealous that they were doing it. Like I hadn't known, but I didn't want to do it, but I just got jealous, right? And so I got fucking dumb. I don't know why. But then so I went with Josh on the first one, and on the second day I said, oh, I'll come back, I'll do another run with you. And I like before I did it, I was like, fuck, I feel bad. Like I should do some more. So I ran to Josh from the gym and then did it with him. So it ended up being like, I don't know, it was like 15 Ks or something. Man, I think that was the furthest I've run in like a decade. Bro. And then I went and got fried chicken afterwards.
But the 4x4 48 is pretty tough. It's like, it would end up being like 80 kilometers or something, but it's just getting up and having the discipline to get up through the night and all that shit. We did a big hike up a mountain as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty fun. That was sort of some like we camped in the mountains without tents, and we were just trying to see if we can survive.
We did a little bit of wilderness camp. We just put it on. It's not on the Two Guys One. It's on the Muay U YouTube channel. We just put it up the other day. Yeah, that was another little like challenge.
Start calling you Josh Grills.
Yeah,
Josh Grills.
Man, if I was out there by myself, I'd be dead. Did a team for that one.
Oh shit!
That was fun. That was like we got up. I think we got up like 12 or 13 Ks up the mountain. We camped the first night. and then we drove up to this little top. I know I don't want to spoil it for you. It's a good ending. Hey.
Yeah, well, it was
It's a
good
fun-
but shit ending. Yeah.
And then I don't know what else we want to do. I don't know, like some more running stuff. I don't know.
What have you learned about yourself mentally from doing all these challenges?
I don't know, man. It's just if you just keep pushing through, like you can achieve whatever you want. That's what I sort of did with the Andy fight. I made myself run either real early in the morning or like real late at night, and I'll just say like, man, he's good, but it's not his time anymore. Like it's my time now, and I just repeat that stuff, and it's just good for your mind.
Josh, if you, I mean, we have sayings, right? Like we have sayings before fights that we use. The one at the moment is drown him. Like our one at the moment is drown him, because we have these things like Josh. Like people can be more technical than Josh, but I've never met anyone that can just keep going like Josh can. Like it is really hard to break him. And it's like he's the kind of guy that in the 4th or 5th round, it would suck to stand in front of, because he won't fucking let you off. And like, yeah, we've got that thing now. I say it to him in training, running, doing sprints, anything. I just say drown him. Yeah. And he just like a switch flicks in his head. Yeah. Man, Josh, yeah.
It's funny. Israel once said, like, your best thing, Josh, is you're very durable.
Durable.
You can just keep going, man. It's funny.
Yes, it's funny you say that, because I was having a chat with someone, and like we're watching some like a Muay Thai show in Australia, and they had I think it was like an amateur, and they had a couple of MMA guys on fighting Muay Thai just so they could get the fights. And one thing I noticed with the MMA guys is like, I find that their strength and conditioning programs and their programs are quite good for cardio. Like you watch an MMA guy versus a Muay Thai guy, and yeah, he doesn't look technically nice, or he doesn't necessarily look beautiful to watch, but I've found a lot of them in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, when the Muay Thai guys start gassing, the MMA guys, although they don't necessarily have that technique, they have quite good cardio, and that's what quite often ends up winning them the fights, because they can keep going.
I think that's where that's where MMA is sort of winning out on Muay Thai, in the sense that we're like, a lot of Muay Thai is not willing to adopt modern sort of practices and approaches when it comes to things like strength and conditioning. Like a lot of people still hold on to heaps of those just kind of that old dogma, like, lifting heavy makes you slow, or this does you this and this. And then they're out wasting time fucking jogging half-ass pace for 50 minutes. Like you can't compare. And I'm a big, I drill this into people, is you can't take, like Thais are the best at the sport for a reason, but Thais are not the best at the sport because they do half shitty push-ups and those dumb chin-ups, and like they run for an hour in the morning and an hour at night. Yeah. They're the best because they hit pads twice a day, 6 days a week, and they have done since they were fucking 5 years old. Yeah. They are technically proficient. Yeah. And so you can't think that running fucking 15Ks is going to turn you into some magical, like, it just like energy systems don't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
And it's not necessarily for some people it's okay, but it's not necessarily the best for your joints, your shins, like just smash your feet are just smashing that road for 10, 15Ks.
You ever seen a Thai fighter by the time they're bloody 40? Like, I mean, anyone, obviously people have. Yeah. Man, they're a mess.
Yeah.
Like, and, obviously like in Thailand, no one talks about the, pharmaceutical help and things like that. We like to pretend like that shit doesn't exist, but let's not beat around the bush, right? Like, you can't, man. You got to, especially for foreigners, you got to consider long term.
Well, I mean, probably a lot of the Thais probably couldn't even afford pharmaceuticals with the, the wages and everything that they've got better things to spend their money on.
Yeah, but like some of those, and man, I remember reading or seeing something about like when Borkow first entered K1, and that manager of his name's like Yim, or I can't remember what he's like that bigger Thai guy. He has a strength and conditioning degree, or he's got a master's or something, and he had Borkow in like Borkow's, Borkow now is different to Borkow like the start of K1 Max. That guy was a specimen. Like
he still is. He's still got a six pack.
An athletic specimen, and you see what he even back then, man. The approach that guy had with him was so much different to your traditional sort of Thai approach, and he's still in good shape, right?
Yeah.
He's still in good nick. Look at what's happened from it. So.
Can I ask you, Kieran, like with Joshy setting himself little challenges and doing everything like that, has that sort of made you not necessarily adopt a different way to training, but has that sort of made you think about like adding in certain things to trainings rather than people just doing the same old, running, skipping, shadowing it to break the training up a little bit?
Man, sometimes maybe to break it up, but I also tell them like, especially like those kind of things or like really structured strength and conditioning, I think only makes a difference when you're a pro. When you're an amateur, you just need to hit pads a lot, right? Like, because that'll give you all the fitness that you need. And then little challenges like that to break it up. Yeah, it's fun because it's fun to test and see if people will break and it's like test their mental 100%. Like it's nice so long as it doesn't detract from training.
Well, I mean, that's the thing to get better, isn't it? Muay Thai is just basically like when you're training, it's just repetition. You want to be a better kicker, just keep kicking, kick the bag, kick the pads. Kick banana trees if you want to.
Any sport.
Exactly. It's just repetition. And we said this today when we were talking to some of the guys and girls when we had a bit of a chat about like, training to fight for the first time. And that was that like amateurs fight 3-2s when they first start. That's not a long time. It's not for most, it's not a fitness thing. It's adrenaline and it's technical. It's usually the person who isn't affected by the adrenaline dump the most or is technically trained in a particular manner enough that they can continue to execute even when they have that adrenaline dump. Like, it's 3-2s, man. That's 6 minutes with a minute break. Bro, you go outside, run as hard as you can for 6 minutes.
I mean, if you did it now, like, it'd be hard to almost... I mean, it'd be hard, but you break it.
You can still do it. Yeah. There's a reason, like... But, like, you get, Thai pad holders who just jump in against, shitty foreigners just because they're hanging around and they just jump in and they fight 5-3s. Yeah, they coast.
Yeah.
But they can still do it.
Exactly. And they've got that muscle memory too. They've been doing it for
100%. Exactly.
However many years.
It comes down to the technical part.
And when you were just talking about with the people having their first fights, what sort of advice do you give people having their first or second or third fights as a trainer?
Treat it like a sport. Like, all you're doing a sport. Don't build it up so much. A lot of people now, we associate, like the English language, you associate the term fight so heavily. It's such a loaded word. When in reality, an amateur fight, man, it's nothing. You're going to get hurt more playing footy on the weekend. But the people who do, and they really build it up, when they lose, it sucks. It's so shit. But if you just go about it and approach it with I'm going to train hard and fight and then I'll do it again kind of mentality, then it's a much better way, I think, of approaching it. Don't build it up. Just treat it like a sport. Treat it like the sport that it is, and you're going to fight and that's it. And then turn around and come back to training and do it again and keep doing it. And don't make it to be something it's not. You're not a professional. You're not fighting in front of millions of people. You're not Conor McGregor. Like, pull it down. Man.
And what about you, Joshy? You're a fighter and a trainer as well. What sort of advice do you give people having their first couple of fights?
Just enjoy it. Just listen. Keep it simple. Like, I think what Kieran said was pretty spot on.
That's it. Apply the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly.
And now that we're talking about fighters and fights, you've acquired a new addition to your gym, Mr. Pen and Pete. Tell us about that. And are you looking to sort of build a solid stable of fighters?
Man, yeah. Davey's moved down here, and obviously Canberra's not a big place, so there's not many places for you to train. And he'd been down here previously and done some training with us while he was down here once or twice, and he just enjoyed it. And so when he came here, he's just asked if he could train here. And yeah, like I said, sweet, man. Davey's a good addition to the team. Obviously brings like a huge wealth of experience. We're lucky. We've got, because there's him, there's Josh. My other boy Dan is about 20, 21 fights. And then obviously some of the girls like Diandra and the like. But when you can add someone like that to the team, it's like such a good training partner for everyone too.
That's a good snowball effect.
Yeah, it creates a good snowball effect. And I mean, like all up between pros and amateurs, we have a team of about 15 fighters, and always trying to add more beginners and juniors and just keep it going, man. Like I opened the gym so I could train fighters, because obviously we don't make money from fighters, so you have to have a way to do it, right? And that's through people who pay the bills, which are just people who want to come and train. And I wanted to make an awesome gym, a very big gym, which looks really cool and is enjoying the training, but has really good training in it as well, and has a shitload of fighters. Man, I always use the example, and I tell him this to his face. My sort of coach, do you call him an idol? I don't know. My like number one coach in the country is obviously is Darren Reed. It's not just for the like the quality of training or the size of his. It's his whole approach, right? Like the gym is nice. He's a professional guy. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Then you've got a lot of good fighters. Then the fight team is big. Like it's that sort of. That's what I really like. And I wanted to sort of, when I first started, I was like, that's my sort of what I want to mimic, and Joshy and I talk about it all the time. We just think, fuck, how good would it be to have so many fighters that you just go away every weekend? You just like gone. And we already, man, like before COVID, like February hit and we'd had 20 fights already. We'd had 20 fights in like 4 different cities in Australia and 3 different countries, and we'd already had like another 20 matched, and it was only going to be May or something. Like we're already cranking along, and that's the main reason that we do it. Yeah, 100%. We always just fighters. I love it, man. There's nothing. Being ringside is the best. Like I'd never trade it for anything.
And can I ask, with Pen and Pete, like, because obviously probably I'd say, him and Josh will be the top dogs. What do you do for clinching partners for him? Because he's quite good.
So he's my other boy Dan, who's about 68, 69 kilo fighter. He's about 20, 21 fights. He's a good clincher.
Yeah.
And then we've got a bunch of other big boys as well, like other bigger boys who, like we try to clinch. I mean, we clinch every day, sometimes twice a day. So we try to like have enough people there for him. So yeah, man, it's not really a problem. Like he's got plenty of people to clinch and spar, and yeah, hasn't really been an issue. Like obviously he's bigger than Josh, but
be good clinching for Joshy.
Man, he wraps me up.
Stands over you.
He's strong.
Yeah, he's a strong boy. He's got that tradie strength, and I've been doing some S&C with him, like just some basic getting him stronger kind of thing too, man. I'm excited to get him back in there.
So how long have you guys been actually allowed to go back to full contact, hitting pads, clinching, sparring? How long has it been?
A couple of weeks.
I think it's our 3rd or 4th week. This might be the end of our 3rd week, going into our 4th.
So gym wise, is there like over in New South Wales, ACT, are there any fight shows lined up at the moment, or have you got anything lined up for your fighters, or even just for your gym in general?
Not really, man. Like, I mean, Davey, the match of Davey versus Stefan Lottering is still meant to happen on Muay Thai Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Granted that WA lets the rest of us filthy Aussies in the borders. It's like, I think there's a few people, like I think Andy Parnham wants to do another. He did a really good last year. He did a show in his gym, which was a cool.
That's right.
That was really good. So I think he wants to do another one. My mate Aram and I, Aram from Sitzleton, we were actually meant to run a pro show in May in New South Wales, and we had to cancel it. We were thinking about doing like a no crowd amateur show.
Yep.
because I'm all for them now. I think like I've actually really enjoyed watching some no crowd shows, man. I think it's an easy way to crank out fights for amateurs. So we were talking about doing one for that, and I was talking about getting a bigger ring for the gym here and maybe doing a few in the gym as well. And just like, I think a few people just need to pull the pin and just do it, you know, not be too worried about losing money and stuff like that, and just hope that the industry will support.
Can I ask, is the reason, because obviously the reason promoters promote is to get their fighters fights. Did you and Aram go in because you basically wanted to get your fighters fights, he wanted to get his fighters fights? Was that the main goal? And then if you can fit other people on the show, then let's do it.
We're the WBC reps. So he's the WBC rep for New South Wales, and I'm the WBC rep for ACT. But obviously nothing really goes on here. So
yeah.
The idea was to put on some WBC pro titles in New South Wales and build up some champs there, and to be able to get that sort of follow through to the national level and make it a little bit, have a clearer list of those state champs and everyone at that level. And yeah, just sort of build it up, because the WBC hasn't existed in New South Wales for a very long time. So that was, we didn't do it. Yeah, we didn't really do it to get our guys and girls fights as much as we did to get some WBC pro titles happening, build up some state champs regardless of what gym they were from.
Okay. And what do you think about the WBC with the redesigning their belt a little bit? Are you happy with it, or should have left it as it was?
Nah, it's cool. I mean, it was always cool to have like the boxing greats on it, right? Obviously, like that's always cool. But then I guess when you win one, you'd kind of be like, well, man, this guy never got kicked in the leg. This guy never got his knee in the spine, you know? Like, it's probably, man, I'm all for it. You still got the same. It's still that cool sort of green and gold that everyone knows and loves, man. It's like, it's my favorite belt. I think it always will be. It looks so sick.
Definitely.
And it's cool for Muay Thai fighters to have something that you've got some of these like boxing superstars that also have, you know, to put them in the same sort of like category or level. I think that, yeah, but the belt, I'm all for it.
Yeah, nice, boys.
See this one, right?
For Muay Thai boxing.
Muay Thai.
I mean, obviously the WMC's like the WMC's done great things for Muay Thai, but I think the WBC, the leadership team that they've had over the past few years has really made inroads and made it something that, you know, I think the fact that our sport isn't always as rewarding financially, you need something major to go for to keep you going. And it's kind of like, you know, rugby league players get to play for the, you know, the trophy and blah, 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 blah. Having something like that to go for, the big WBC title that really is all over the world and you really can state your claim as one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, gents, before I wrap this up, any last parting words or anyone that you guys want to thank or give a shout out to?
Thanks, Kieran.
I'm like, I've got a knife to him at the moment, man. I'm like,
you're allowed to talk, Josh.
Oh man, I wouldn't have sort of gone up as fast as I would without Kieran and the team at Muay U, and without their help, without the help of Steve and ongoing support from my wife. She's having dinner.
Gotta thank the missus.
Go over there.
Watching.
Love you.
I'm real happy with how things are going at the minute. Even when there's no fights, it's good to just keep training, and something's coming around the corner.
Well, before I get on to Kieran, while we're just bringing up fight shows and whatnot, how's any plans to do another Chaos?
Yeah, we I think February. We're looking at doing it February. We had a meeting with some other guys, and so they want to help us out, like a sponsor. So February at the minute.
Yeah, wicked.
Hopefully we can just get Muay U versus the world.
You've heard, yeah. And then you don't have to verse us anymore.
Our second chaos, we only had one win out of 8 or something.
We had like Muay U had, what did we have? We had 3 people on. I think we only fought one of your guys. So Joshy and I were like, that was when Josh was working with Stockade, so we were still separate. Did we fight one or two? Oh no, we had two. Yeah, I went 2-0 against Josh that day. I went.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, man. The gyms it still holds Muay U's fastest knockout record, like 12 seconds or something. Oh, blah.
Against Joshy's fighter.
Yeah, against Josh. Oh man, just talking shit like usual.
And Kieran, what about you, mate? Anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to before we bail?
Fuck, man, everyone. Like, honestly, like, man, if you're in Muay Thai, just keep going. Whatever you're doing, you're contributing to the sport in a good way, whether you're training, whether you're watching shows, whether you're a fighter. Like, man, let's just keep going. You know, like, thank you to everyone. Like, we have to, this sport gets pretty shitty and rough and hard at times because we don't sometimes get what we deserve, whether it's financial or recognition or otherwise. And there's a lot of selfless people in this sport that do a lot of work without not much thanks. And, you know, I don't think they go after that stuff sometimes, but just that, you know, if you're out there and you're doing a lot of stuff for the sport, whether you're running shows and you're losing money or you're doing this or doing that, like, man, people appreciate it. They might not always say it, but they appreciate it. So, man, and people like you, Mudzy, like, you obviously, it's not like you're not Joe Rogan, bro. You didn't just die as much as you'd like $100 million from sport.
Oh, that'd be lovely. I'd love to quit my day job and do this. Not going to happen.
The sport needs stuff like this, man. So just, everyone go, just keep going. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel so we get more than 4 subscribers and 7 views. And
It's just us watching the videos over
it's just us watching it on different computers and different IP addresses.
Well, if anyone's listening to this interview, what is your YouTube channel for them?
Man, it's Muay U Canberra on everything. So we've got like Facebook Muay U Canberra, Instagram Muay U Canberra, YouTube Muay U Canberra. You can find it on there. And then like the 2 Guys 1 Championship, we only do around the fights, so you'll see it's like months between us posting stuff. But I think we're going to keep the whole 2 Guys 1 Championship, but integrate it into the Muay U stuff, because then we sort of get followers from everything and we don't have to like spread our time out as much, man. So yeah,
the main brand is Muay U. Sure.
At Time Bomb Tonna.
Wicked, boys. Well, thank you for your time as well. Very much appreciated.
So you can answer and explain to me the history. I had to throw a vicious knee. I got a passion for the art of 8 limbs. I'm just asking from the heart. So as I conclude this interview, thanks so much for sitting through. Loved all the fighters and the folks that listen. This for you.